All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Articulate Women podcast. We are on season 3, episode 6, and today we are talking about the Good Samaritan.
Yes, we are, and welcome back, everyone. I know that last week was kind of a little bit of a maybe downer episode, but
It was intense.
It was intense, but it was intentional, and I think it needed to be said. So, but hopefully, this one is going to be a little bit more uplifting because we're talking all about helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're just going to start off with the actual parable. So this is in Luke chapter 10. Mm-hmm. It's in only Luke. It's not anywhere else. Some of the parables are throughout the Gospels, but this one is just in Luke. So it starts kind of cool because this is one that he's preaching, and then someone in the audience basically is like, hey, what do I do to inherit eternal life? So this is Luke chapter 10, verse 25 is where it starts. He's like, okay, what can I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus is like, well, what's written in the law? How do you read it? I love that he answers the question with the question. It's rhetorical. And so Christ says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. He's like, if you do this, you will live. And then in verse 29, the lawyer who asked is like, but who is my neighbor? Oh. And that's the introduction to the parable of the Good Samaritan, where he's like, it's more people than you think.
It's not just
one person.
It's not just your neighbor, your literal neighbor.
It's not just the people that you like.
Right.
So he goes into the story where a man is journeying from Jerusalem to Jericho, and a bunch of thieves beat him up, left him for dead. So a couple different people walk past him. First, a priest walks past him. He passes on the other side. So imagine this guy's like laying on the ground all bloodied up.
Yeah.
And the priest is like, ew.
You know, and how often do you see people like that now? Or they take out their phones and video the assault?
I know.
You know, I mean, that's what happens now. So, I mean, it's crappy.
Yeah.
So, he's laying there and people are passing by.
Yeah, so a priest walks by, a Levite walks by. So Levite is going to be someone who's thought of a little bit higher among Jewish society because they have the Aaronic priesthood and can officiate at the temple. So in theory is respected a little bit more because of their standing in the church. But then the Samaritan comes, and it says in verse 33, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. And he went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. Mm-hmm. And he gave the innkeeper 2 pence, and he said, take care of him, and if you need more, I'll come back and give you more. And then Christ kind of pulled out the story, and he says, which now of these 3 thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And he answered and said, he that shewed mercy upon him. Then Jesus said, go and do thou likewise.
Yeah, so he's basically saying, hey, if you see somebody laying on the ground and that needs your help, stop and help them. And I feel like this is like... today, if you were to apply this today, there's so many instances of like, and we all do it. There's so many instances of seeing people like down and out. You see the homeless people on the corner, panhandling, you know, you see all different kinds of things, and you're like, you know, the cars are just going by, and we're probably going by too, going, I gotta go, I'd love to help, but I gotta go to work, you know, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And that's not really what we're supposed to do.
No. In fact, this reminds me, there was a study done on a university campus. I don't remember if it was the students or the teachers who went through this thing. I'll find it and link it for you, where they were asked to preach a sermon on the Good Samaritan. Mm-hmm. And on the way, they encountered people who needed help.
Oh.
And the determining factor of whether they stop to help or not, while they're thinking about the Good Samaritan,
jeez,
was whether or not they were on time or not.
I can identify with that so bad. Because everybody knows, like I've said it before, I hate being late.
Yep.
And so I'm like, don't get in my way when I'm going somewhere because I'm going to be there. I'm going to get there on time. So help me God, you know? And honestly, I mean, that's not really what we're supposed to do. Like, it shouldn't be more important for us to be on time somewhere than it is to help somebody who's in need.
Yeah, absolutely. Because how that person needs help should be our number one concern.
Right, because Christ, he's our good Samaritan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Christ didn't, say, well, I'm not gonna die on the cross for you today because I'm supposed to be somewhere.
I've got a bunch of sermons I gotta teach. It's just,
it's not convenient. Today's not convenient. It's just not, praying in the Garden of Gethsemane for all those hours is really not convenient. And I should really be out there helping, talking to the people that are here, not worrying about the souls that haven't come yet.
Yeah.
But thank you, he didn't do that. So yeah, I mean, Christ didn't do that. Christ helped. And you'll notice, I mean, if you've ever watched The Chosen, like sometimes the 12 apostles and the disciples are like hurrying him along, like, no, Jesus, we got to go here. And he'll stop and be like, but wait,
there's someone I need to help.
Somebody's being lowered down into the ceiling for me to heal, and the disciples were always on guard, like no, we need to keep the crowd low. We need to keep you safe because they're searching for you and all this stuff, and Christ is kind of like, don't worry about it, bro. I got you.
For sure.
I just feel like sometimes we have to slow down and not be so concerned with where we're supposed to be or what we're supposed to be doing at that time if we see somebody in need. And we all do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of Jesus' call to be like, if you really care about the messages that I have and what I'm teaching you, you will actually have it impact how you treat other people. And I think, to me, that seems to be the theme that we've come upon in studying the parables thus far.
Yeah.
One is, what's your actual relationship with Jesus Christ? Not just do you know who he is, but do you know him and have a relationship with him?
Yeah.
That's where we started in the parable of the 10 virgins.
Yeah.
And are you willing to change the way that you act towards others because of what Christ taught you?
Yeah. And also that he searches for the one, and sometimes you're the one and sometimes you're the one helping.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I wanted to bring up that depending on where you're at in your life, you may feel like you are the guy that got beat up right now.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, someone come help me.
For real.
I totally get that. I think there's always a place for us to be each person in this parable. Whether it's the person who got beat up that needs help, whether it's the Good Samaritan, or like the innkeeper who was going to help.
Or sometimes you're the Levite and the priest that walks by.
Yes. Or maybe you're the person who beat someone up.
Sometimes
let's hope not.
No, okay.
But it happens. It happens.
We are all, what is that saying? We're all the villain in somebody's story. Eventually you're the villain in somebody's story. I've been the villain in many people's story. I can tell you that much right now. So
yeah, we all have, we're not perfect. We all have our places where we've made mistakes or said the wrong thing or lashed out. Like, I think it's important to remember that we all have a different, depending on the time of your life,
season
you can be
life,
different part of the story.
And it's so true. And sometimes, like, I look at sometimes when I hear people that have done like miraculous things for other people, where it's like, you know, and you hear the stories, and I've seen them all over all over Facebook, and you know, people telling, oh, you know, I did this thing and I did that thing. First of all, that's not really the point of to like blast it out. Look at all the good things I did.
Mm-hmm.
But it is. I say that not because it's bad to tell it, because I like seeing it,
because there's enough bad in the world.
Because there's enough bad in the world, and so when you look at it, you go, "Oh, there is some humanity left. There is something that, you know, for whatever reason they posted it. It doesn't really matter, but it does show that there is still good, and there is still people willing to help." Which brings me to, and I'll just tell the story, like, because I sent it to Melissa. I was like, you'll not believe the story that I just saw on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell it just because this is like I was like, it's so perfect that I saw this, because we're doing the Good Samaritan. And this is like modern day Good Samaritan right here.
Absolutely.
So the video that was posted was of these two guys in a car, and they were like, you know, videoing this woman, and I think they were videoing her because it was like, what is she doing? You know, have you ever looked at something like, I can't figure out what they're doing, but it was like 115 degrees outside. This was in Vegas, and she's wearing sweats, and she's carrying 2 baby carriages, like, you know, the car seat carriages that have blankets over them. So I think there were babies in them. And so you see her like carrying these 2 babies down the street, and they're like, what is she doing? And then she stops and she sets these 2 carriages down, and then she runs back, and behind a rock she'd stashed a 3rd baby. She had triplets. And so then she grabbed this other baby and brought it up to the other 2, and then she just kept doing that, taking 2 up a few feet, setting them down, going back and getting the 3rd. And she did this like for like a block, right? And these guys are like, oh my gosh, she's got 3 babies. What is she doing? It's 150 degrees outside, and she's wearing, you know, sweats. Like, what is going on here? Why is she doing this? And so eventually they went and pulled up to her, and they said, hey, you know, can we take you somewhere? Do you need some help? You know, do you need to call somebody? You know, what's going on? And she's like, no, I'm fine.
To me, the most striking thing was that she did not want to say that she wasn't okay at first.
She didn't. She was like, no, I'm fine.
Like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And clearly she's not.
The guy got out of the car. He was like, you don't look like you're fine. I mean, it's hot out here. It's 115 degrees. You have 3 babies that you're carrying down the street. And so, you know, is there something I can do for you? And anyway, he prodded her a little bit, and finally she broke down, and she was like, you know, he's like, do you have any money? And she's like, I don't have anything. I don't have any ID. I don't have any money.
So her husband had taken her phone and her ID, which BTW is totally emotionally abusive.
Yeah. So she basically left on the run with these 3 babies to get out of this situation, and was trying to just get away.
Yeah.
But she had 3 babies and no stroller, no nothing. She was trying to carry them. And so anyway, this guy talks to her, and he was like, okay, stay right here. Because she's like breaking down at this point. Yeah. He's like, stay right here. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. So he leaves, and he comes back with a van, because there was 2 drivers and there was 2 people in the car. So he comes back with a van, and he was like, because he was saying, do you have any family? And she was like, yeah, in Reno. Which is
an 8-hour drive.
Yeah. And so she didn't have any money. She didn't have any way to get there. So he's like, okay, I'll be back. And he comes back with a van, and he says, you're going to take this van. I don't use it anymore. I don't need it. You're going to take this van, and you're going to take your babies up to Reno to your family so that you have somewhere to go. And she's like, I can't take your car. Like I'm not going to take your car. He's like, no, you are going to take my car. You need to get these babies out of this heat. You need to go. And, so he talks her into putting the babies in the van and taking the van, and he gives her a credit card because he knows she doesn't have any money.
Yeah, for gas.
And says, you know, here's a credit card. Use it for gas, food, whatever you need up there. And he's like, when you get up there, you can mail it back to me. Here's my address or whatever. And she was like, are you sure? And the other thing that I noticed when I watched it again is because when he first offered it to her, and she was like, well, she actually said, what do you want for it? He's like, I don't want anything for it. Because, like, I think she was expecting, like, maybe he wants me to do something for this. And he was like, no, I don't want anything from you. I'm just giving you this van because I don't need it anymore, and you do. And she's like, why are you doing this? And he was like, you know what? I've been out and out. Somebody's helped me before. I'm just paying it forward, you know? And so anyway, she takes this, she leaves with with her babies in the van and this guy's credit card. And then at the end, he put an update, she mailed the card back to him and got a nice letter or something from the family saying, thank you so much for helping our daughter to get here and everything like that. So that was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the equivalent of somebody laying on the ground beat up and somebody helping them and paying the innkeeper to keep them safe.
Absolutely. And what I love is that they were like, this is weird. What's going on?
Yeah.
They could have been like, well, that's weird. I'm just going to keep driving and go about my day.
But they just like kind of followed
They were
her.
like, this is weird. She must be in trouble.
They were like, she's obviously not okay. There's something wrong here.
Yeah. Because, they could have been like, well, that's weird. Okay, we have to be somewhere or whatever.
Well, and it's noteworthy that this was on a busy street. Okay. And there was cars passing by and nobody else was stopping or noticing. They were just driving by. And these guys were like videoing her. Yeah. Like, just because I think they were like, this is so strange. What is happening right now? And so it's people like that are modern day Good Samaritans. And that is exactly what this parable is. Mm-hmm. It's like seeing somebody who's down, who's out, who needs help, and, doing whatever they can. Now, most of us don't have an extra van lying around to give to somebody, but
yeah. And he even said in the video, he's like, it's lucky that I do have a van and I don't need it and I can give it to you. He's like, he saw the coincidence, the miracle, whatever you want to call it, like the chance that he had the exact way to help her.
Right.
Because even if he had a regular car, she couldn't have fit all 3 babies.
Yeah, it was like a minivan.
There's not enough weight. Like, you can't fit 3 babies in a sedan.
Yeah.
So
it was just really like, and she was just like, I can't, you could see it on her face. Like, I can't believe that this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, she was leaving obviously a horrible situation. And we don't know the exact situation, but she was leaving a situation that was not good. Yeah. And somebody was being kind to her. Yeah. And saying, hey, I see you. I'm going to help you. Mm-hmm. You can't keep, trying to walk these 3 babies going back and forth because you can't carry all 3 of them at the same time down the street in 115 degrees heat. Yeah. And having nowhere to go.
Yeah, because she said she was going to go to the bus stop, but she didn't have any money.
Yeah, she didn't have anywhere to go anyway. Yeah. So what was she, it's like she just left it and she didn't really have a plan of what she could do.
Yeah, she just knew she had to get out.
And so anyway, that's modern day Good Samaritan. And that was like, it was so poignant that I found that right before we were recording this episode. Yeah. It was like beautiful. And I was like, see, this is why this shows that there is still good people willing to do what needs to be done to help a person. Yeah. And that person's going to be blessed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, we also wanted to bring in this talk from Elder Gong from April of 2021 conference. It's called A Room in the Inn. So he's kind of mixing the metaphor of the Good Samaritan and
Easter.
The Christmas story.
Christmas story, you're right. But it was the Easter season.
It works.
It was Easter.
But, we'll give him a pass because it's a good talk. But he tells this story of when he's visiting a cathedral in Paris and how it has 3 glass windows, stained glass windows. The first is Adam and Eve leaving the Garden of Eden after they've partaken of the fruit. The second is the parable of the Good Samaritan. And the third is the Lord's second coming. And I remember thinking when I first read this talk, I was like, that's an interesting
parallel. Yeah.
Like, usually you have like the Garden of Eden and then like the crucifix and the resurrection, or like the apostles preaching. I don't know. It was an interesting, trio of stained glass windows. And so what he goes on to talk about is that really the the parable of the Good Samaritan is the one in the middle because that's our time on earth. So we have leaving the garden puts us into mortality and allows us all to come. And then the ending is the second coming. And so the time in between is all of our time on earth where we are expected to take care of each other. And I just love the idea that of the Good Samaritan, parable of the Good Samaritan should be our standard operating procedure for how we operate on earth.
Absolutely.
While we wait for the second coming.
It's the compassion that we're supposed to have compassion for our fellow man here on earth. We all have flaws, but that, that's what being a good Samaritan, that's what Christ did for us. And so that's what we have to do for each other, is heal each other's wounds, to tend to each other, to, do what's needed for the one, like Christ would do for us. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it's cool that we can really put ourselves in, like we said earlier, in any part of this story. Because I also think there is something to be said for allowing other people to help us.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because she was like the story that you just told, she was very like, are you sure? Like, are you serious?
Like, she was waiting for the other shoe to drop.
She even said, who would want to help this?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She did.
She was like, I have triplets and they're babies. Why would you help me? I'm a
this is
hot mess and a half.
Yeah.
Like, why would you help me? Which I get. I had twins, so I wasn't quite triplets because I could at least carry both my babies, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So,
a lot.
I remember, I feel like it was hard to get babysitters because I was like, it's two babies.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get two teenagers to watch my kids. But several years ago, I wrote this blog post that I have titled The Parable of the Pool, where I talk about how we're all in different parts of the pool. So there's the surviving part where you're like treading water, where you're just trying to not drown.
Right.
Which is the guy beat up on the side of the road, or this triplet mom. Then you have the person lounging on the side that's like, life is good, just chilling.
Yeah.
And then you have the swimming instructor who's helping other people to learn how to swim.
Oh, okay.
And I just think that we have to remember that depending on our season of life, we're in a different part of the pool and a different part of this parable. And sometimes we have to be like, oh, maybe someone else knows better than me or has the resources that I don't.
Yeah.
Or I need to admit that I do have a problem because I do actually need help.
Yeah.
And that can be really hard to be humble enough to be like, yeah, I'm a mess. Can you help me, please? Instead of just turning your other cheek.
Yeah.
I worked at a office where we evaluated for dementia in older patients, and a lot of times they would downplay their symptoms because they didn't want to admit how bad their memory was. And it was really hard because a lot of times, especially if it's early onset and you're in your 40s or 50s, if you have that diagnosis, you can get on disability. But you have to admit how bad you are.
Yeah.
In order to qualify for disability. And so it's a really hard spot to be in. You have to admit that you need help in order to get the help that you need.
And we are so bad at it's true. We don't want to admit that. Especially, I can see that. I can see in your older generation, my grandma and things like that before she died. She didn't want to admit that she couldn't. My mom had to pry her checkbook from her. That she couldn't manage paying her own bills anymore.
Oh, we had to make my grandma use her walker. She would try and walk, and I'm like, "What are you doing? You're gonna fall and break your hip. Use your walker. You're 90 years old."
But they get to this point is you know what? I'm the older generation. I'm the oldest, and I don't want you to tell me what to do. And that's kind of they kind of regress into this teenager state of you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
At that stage where and to be honest, I don't relish the fact that someday that'll be me and that'll be all of us, because when you've lived on this earth long enough, you're like, hey, I deserve to not be told what to do.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hard.
I'm old, man. And so, yeah, it's a difficult thing to be in, but we're all in that place where I'm especially, like, even with this woman, where at first she did not want to tell these people what her situation was. And I get it. They were strangers. She didn't know them, you know, and they kind of thought about that too. They're like, okay, we don't want to offer her a ride because that seems creepy.
Yeah.
You know, but also we know she needs help. So what can we do here? You know? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we don't want, I'm really bad at this, where it's like my CEO came into my office the other day and he was like, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm fine. Fine. And he's like, fine. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm here. Anyway, it was a big I won't tell you that story, but it was like, you know, I messed up at work and he knew I messed up, and it was like a whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, are you sure?
Yeah, we don't like to admit when we're having a hard day.
Definitely not. So when we're looking at this this story of not the story, but this talk from Elder Gong, I like how he's talking about, you know, first we come to the inn as we are, you know, with foibles and imperfections that we each have. Yet we all have something needed to contribute. Our journey to God is often found together. We belong as united community, whether confronting pandemics, storms, wildfires, droughts, or quietly meeting daily needs. So, you know, he's saying we're a community. Mm-hmm. You know, we're supposed to be unified in our journey, even if we're in different places, and we come as we are.
Yeah. Whether we're having a hard time or not.
Right.
We show up as we are because...
and we belong.
Yep.
As we are.
There's no standard of whatever to get into the community.
No.
The Good Samaritan didn't be like, wait, do you have, like, are you a member of this club?
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Sorry, are you part of my religion?
Yeah. Or
are you Christian or Muslim? I don't know.
Yeah. There was no prerequisite.
Yes.
To getting help.
There wasn't. He was just like, this person needs my help. I am able to get him to an inn, and I have some money to give to the innkeeper so that he can get some help. I'm going to help.
Yeah. And I also think it's important to note that being a Good Samaritan doesn't mean giving your car to someone. Always.
No, it doesn't. And that was an extreme example, but it was a really good one.
It's a fabulous example. And maybe it can help open our eyes to what it means to be giving.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was because I was thinking about this week, but I went to the pool on Friday with the kids, just to the community pool down the street. And it's only a couple dollars a person to get in, so it's budget friendly.
Yes.
But they only take cash. So I had just paid for the kids, and this family came in after me and had never been here before and didn't realize it was cash only.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's got like 4 kids with her. Mm-hmm. And she's like, is there an ATM inside, or can I like go down the street? And I was like, you know what? I'll pay for it.
Oh,
yeah. Like, I have a stash of cash for this exact reason. Mm. Let me get it. She's like, she was very dumbfounded. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. And I told her it was true. I was like, I had someone do this for me in a different circumstance where I didn't know I had to have cash, because who uses cash?
I know, right?
Now. And they had paid for me and my kids to do an activity. And so, and that was like 2 years ago. And I had to remember that moment of like, someone helped me when I needed the cash so that my kids could go on this field trip at their day camp. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I was like, you know, someone did this for me once and I just want to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. So I paid the $9 for her and her kids to go. And we all had fun. You know, she had met later. I saw her and she had met 2 other moms and all their kids. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't want you to like ruin your pool day because you didn't know it was cash only. Like, And I like to think I would have done that even if we weren't talking about this week.
Yeah.
But it made me more aware of like, if I
yeah.
can give, then I'm going to.
And that's so true. And I've had that happen. I think we've all been in a situation where either we were misinformed about the price or we were misinformed about something and somebody stepped in and said, hey, I got you. Like I had that happen in Aruba. I was in Aruba in another country and I was going through, it was the last day we were there. I was getting breakfast for my husband and my daughter who were back at the Airbnb packing. I said, I'll go get breakfast. And so I went to the McDonald's and I was in line. And so, if you're in the drive-thru and people are in front of you and people are behind you can't get out.
I think it's the most horrible design. That happened to me once and I was like, what am I supposed to do? You
can't get. So anyway, I ordered and then I got up to the window and they were like, hey, our ATM is broken. Our card thing is broken, so it's cash only. And I'm like, well, I don't have any cash. And so I was like, oh crap. I'm like, okay, well, I guess just cancel my order because but I'll just have to wait until the next car moves or whatever and just go up there. And then so it was waiting a really long time. It was really slow. And the guy in front of me, I think it was in front of me, was like, hey, hey, what did you order? And I was like, I don't have cash, so I can't pay. He was like, no, I'm just going to tell them to put the order back on and I'll just pay for it. And I'm like, are you sure? Because it's not just for me, it's for me and my family. He's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm like, well, they just canceled the order. He's like, no, just tell me what you got. I'll just order it again. And so,
wow.
I was in another country.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you so much. That's really, you don't have to do that. And he's like, no, it's no problem. They should have told you ahead of time that they were, didn't have the ability to do cash, to do card. And so anyway, he got my meal for me. It took a little longer because he's like, just go park over there. When you get out of the line, just go park over there and I'll bring it to you. And I was like, okay, thanks. So I waited 15 minutes or whatever. And he brought the meal out to me or whatever. It was super nice. Anyway,
That's awesome.
They were obviously tourists too, because they were American, but
yeah.
Anyway, so things like that happen. And that is, it's small things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, was it a big deal if I didn't get my meal? No, I could have went, down to a different, drive through at a different, fast food place and gotten food. But,
yeah,
it was just, really, we were kind of trying to get ready to leave the country, and trying to get ready to get on the plane and everything. So it was just really nice,
Yeah.
So it's things like that. And I have to remember that because now it's like, okay, am I going to be able to do that, for somebody else, I think I did that once, but it was before that. It was during COVID when you had to have a car to go through a drive-through, but then you had the homeless people who could, because you couldn't go in.
Oh, because you couldn't go in.
You couldn't go in. So the homeless people were not able to, even if they got food, were not able to go in and get anything.
That's awful.
And so
I didn't think about that
because you could only go through the drive-through, and so I was going through the drive-through at Tropical Smoothie, and this guy approached me. He's like, hey, I have cash, and he was obviously homeless. I have cash, but I can't order anything because they don't accept walk-ups. And he's like, so will you order this for me? And I was like, yeah, totally. And he was going to give me the cash, and I was like, I don't want your cash, dude. You keep it. I'll just get it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I don't know when he's going to get money again, So I was like, you keep it. I'll just order it. Just wait at the end of the drive-through and I'll give it to you. So I and it was no big deal. I was going through the drive-through anyway.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. One thing I was thinking about is that, we're talking a lot about paying it forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's important for us to always accept a gift of help, even if we won't ever have a way to repay it or
totally.
pay it forward.
It's not about repaying it. It's about recognizing when you have the opportunity again.
Yeah, for sure. And to accept help no matter what.
Just accept it. Yeah.
And also know that you can give people help anytime.
Yeah.
Whether or not people have helped you. Hopefully they have, but
Totally.
you know, it's all about the internal feeling in our hearts of like, we're going to give no matter what.
Yeah.
And we should receive the gift no matter what. And one thing that Elder Gong talks about in this talk is that he calls Christ the Good Samaritan in capital letters because Christ is the ultimate Good Samaritan.
Yep.
And this is where I think we get scared to let Christ help us sometimes. In the same way that mom was like, who would help me? I'm a mess.
Yeah.
I think we've all had times where you're like, I'm a total mess. Who's going to help me? And what would even help?
Yeah.
And Christ always has the capacity to help us when we're in our darkest moment.
That's a good point, what you just said, like how we're, you know, sometimes when we're in a spot, when we're in a jam, we're literally like, when people say, how can I help? We're literally like it's not that we wouldn't accept the help but when somebody says, how can I help? You literally don't know. You're like, dude, if I could help myself, I would do it.
I can't tell you how many times I said that after my divorce. So many people were like, how can I help you? I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I said that so many times to so many people, and I felt so bad, but I was like, I have no idea.
Well, and it's true. People say that to me.
Like a time machine or a fast forward button or something.
A good man. I don't know. Like, right?
Memory eraser.
But that's a good point, though. I mean, because people would say that to me. People say that to me. Still say that to me all the time. Oh, how can I help? They would say that. How can we help Michaela when speaking of my daughter, which I do frequently. Sorry if you're all tired of hearing about it, but. People will ask me all the time, how can we help her? And how many times different bishops over the course of time have said, how can we help Michaela? And I've been like, if I knew that,
then I would have done
it already. So, I mean, it's kind of, sometimes asking that question is almost like, it's a way to show like, hey, I want to show this person, and it's not that they're not well-intentioned, but it's a way to show that, hey, I want to show this person that I care, but I don't really have any answers or I don't have any clue, so I'm just going to ask them. You know, it's kind of like putting it back on the person that has the problem to come up with a solution.
Yes.
And it's like
I don't know, figure it out.
If I had, but it's like asking that question is like, if they had the answer to tell you how to help them, then they wouldn't need help.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22.
So I don't know. That's just, I mean, to me, that's like a nice way of saying, let me know if you need anything. Right?
Well, there's this great story. I think there's a what do they call it? They're not Mormon messages anymore. There's like a YouTube video put on by the church where this home teacher comes over with treats or something. And like their kitchen is flooding. And he's like, oh, you're busy. I'll come back later. And we're like, dude, go help with the kitchen. It's flooding. Go and help. Like,
that's great.
Oh my gosh.
You're busy.
Missing the mark.
Yeah. I'm a little busy. I'm a little underwater here.
Yeah.
Thanks. But thanks for the cookies.
Yeah.
That'll definitely help.
Yeah, for sure. We have to be okay with the mess.
We do.
And that's how I knew who my real friends were after my divorce. Is who could handle all the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah.
And who actually wanted to hear about it. Or compared with like asking really surface level questions about it. Like there was a clear difference to me of like who wanted to hear and who was just trying to be nice.
Yeah. Or the people that were like, I was kind of like in the mess. So like, because I was watching their kids all the time while you guys were going in therapy and everything like that. So I like kind of got a up close and personal view of the mess. And which I was fine with. I was just like, you know what? I'm just in here. I'm just going to be over here doing your dishes, and you do.
Because you knew.
You do what needs to be done here.
We were doing what we could do by going to therapy, and you saw that we had dirty dishes, so you did them.
I didn't ask. I was just like, I'm just over here doing dishes, or, you know.
You helped,
like, whatever.
Without having to be told how to help.
But I don't say that to like highlight what I was doing, but it was just kind of like that thing of like your real friends are the people who are gonna, you know, walk into your house and just know what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Like look at it and be like, I see you need some help, so I'm just gonna start doing, and not be like, hey, do you need some help with, you know, do you want me to do your dishes? Do you want me to, you know, I didn't even ask. I just started. I just did them. But, you know, because it's what I would have wanted. And that's the way I looked at it. It was like, you know what, when my kid was younger and I was having a hard time or whatever, if somebody would have just walked in and started cleaning my house, I wouldn't have been like, because some people would get offended, be like, you know, I don't know. Some people are weird like that.
I think you have to do it in the right way. Because I've had people come clean my bathroom that made me feel like I was a horrible person because it wasn't clean.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had other people come and clean just to serve, and I felt so ministered to. So it really depends on the person.
Yeah, I guess if you're kind of like doing it in a way where you're kind of like making, I guess, comments or backhanded comments, or, you know, what should I do with this or what should I do with that, you know, kind of, I don't know. But I don't know what, I guess I wasn't thinking whether I was doing it in the right way or the wrong way. I was just doing
you just
it.
Did it. That's helpful in all its own.
And so, but I thought, you know, I would have been one of those people. If you wanted to walk in and clean my house, I would have been like, yes, please. Because clearly I need some help, because what looks like here is just the only thing can be described as there seems to have been a struggle. You know, it seems to have been some sort of a, you know, something, a bomb went off in here or something. I don't know.
But I like what Elder Gong says, is that in the same way that we want our friends to show up in the mess, that Christ will always show up in the mess. And it says, our Savior Jesus Christ knows everything about us. We don't want anyone else to know. And he still loves us. His is a gospel of second and third, and let me include millionth chances, made possible by his atoning sacrifice. And he says that he invites us to be less judgmental and more forgiving of ourselves.
Yes.
And each other.
Yes.
Which I love that, because like what if the Good Samaritan got beat up because he like had a bunch of gambling debt? And it was his own fault.
Yeah. What if
that doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter why he was beat up.
He needs help. We're going to give him help. Okay. So one thing that we loved in this talk was the Elder Gong quoted Isaiah, and this is Isaiah 40:31. And it says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." And I love this idea, because putting it in the context of the Good Samaritan, we wait upon the Lord for our renewed strength, because he is the one that is going to pick us up off the ground and tend to our wounds and take care of us and take us to the inn and really strengthen us. And you'll recognize that last phrase from the initiatory.
Yep.
We'll run and not be weary, walk and not faint.
Yeah.
And I think that's both a physical description and also a spiritual one, to be able to rely on Christ and his strength and his atonement to be able to make it through something hard. And he is the best Good Samaritan.
He is. I like this part too, where he says, our Good Samaritan promises to return. Miracles occur when we care for each other as he would. When we come with broken hearts and contrite spirits, we can find voice in Jesus Christ and be encircled in his understanding arms of safety. I mean, that's just the best description of what this parable is about and what our Savior did for us. I mean, he was the ultimate Good Samaritan because he paid the ultimate price for each one of us. And when we take care of each other, that's when miracles happen. The miracles happen on this earth. They still happen today. They happen because of things that we do for each other.
Yeah. It's all about taking care of each other. And a lot of what Elder Gong talks about is that when we all come to the inn, which is a metaphor for the church, all of us imperfect and different from each other and flawed, when we all come together from different backgrounds and circumstances, we use our collective talents to help each other in various ways that we wouldn't have been able to get help otherwise. And the community that we build by being disciples of Christ allows additional healing. I mean, it all comes from Christ, but when we gather together, he makes more of the whole than the pieces together.
Yeah, and he makes our contribution better.
Yeah.
So like whatever little thing that we think that we're giving, he multiplies that.
Absolutely.
He multiplies that in the people's lives that we help. I mean, that's why our church and Christianity in general, that's why service is such a big deal, is because when we're serving each other, we're serving God.
Yeah.
And we're helping each other do God's work. And because Christ isn't here on the earth doing what he did when the disciples here, where he was healing people in person. Yeah. Now he relies on us to do his work for him. And when we're doing that, we're bringing people to him. And we're showing people that this world is not all bad. We're showing people that that Christ exists.
Absolutely. I love the quote that says, "Preach the gospel to everyone around you, and if necessary, use words."
I love that.
So our actions should show our dedication to Christ because of how we treat each other.
So can you think of a person that you can think of that just exemplifies service and Christ-like attributes, who is somebody that embodies that, like what the Good Samaritan is? Can you think of somebody like that you've witnessed?
That's a good question. I'm going to call out Angie. I know she listens. She's going to be totally embarrassed, but I'm going to do it. She was one of the friends that showed up after my divorce. I cried on her shoulder for like 10 minutes straight, and she just sat there. It was probably super awkward for her.
Fair.
But she sat there and like listened to me cry, and like it wasn't too much for her. And I didn't need her to fix anything. I just needed her to sit with me. Yeah. Which is kind of what we talked about last week. But yeah. It was a huge thing to feel like now I knew I could, like, I mean, we were good friends before, but after that I was like, I could call her anytime for anything. And like, she had been through a divorce as well, so she knew what it was like, but she showed up in the hard. Yeah. Like, she took me to lunch and we talked about it, and she came over one night after work and we just talked and sorted through it, and she would check in every once in a while. Like, she knew to check in, and she like, things would happen that would go on Facebook, and she's like, oh, I better text Melissa. Yeah. She's like, she's gonna be upset, I better text her. And so having that like forethought to think about how I would be feeling in a certain circumstance, she knew me well enough. That's the other thing too, is she knew me well enough to know that it would hurt. Right. And she had the courage to reach out and just check in on me. And that was huge, because again, it wasn't like this, grand romantic gesture. Yeah. It was just showing up in those little moments, especially in the beginning, where I knew that I could call her and know that she would show up. Because a lot of people offered.
Yeah.
But I didn't always feel that I could call them.
Yeah, because it's that kind of like, well, if you need anything, let me know.
Yeah. Or like, I'm always here. And I'm like,
yeah, are you?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was the authenticity in which she did show up.
Yeah. That's fair. That's a good example. So my example would be my mom, actually, because and not because, I mean, she's my mom, so she does stuff for me all the time, but not because of that, because of how she shows up. She was always my example of what somebody giving service is, because I'll tell you, my mom, she's a saint. She helps anyone and everyone, and like just without a thought, without a like. There's a woman that lives across the street from her, and she's basically disabled, so she has a little like jazzy that she rides around in, but she can't really do a lot. She can't drive, and she can't go grocery shopping for herself. And pretty much my mom's not her visiting teacher or anything like that, or ministering sister, whatever. Yeah. But the people that don't really want to do all the things that this woman needs. And my mom's a healer. Okay. My mom is a nurse. She's been a nursing home nurse her whole career. She's retired now, but she was used to helping disabled people, because that's what all the people that were her patients were. Yeah. And so she knows how to do that. And, so yeah, basically this woman calls my mom anytime she needs a ride, anytime she needs her to go grocery shopping for her, which is once a week. And my mom just does it. She just does it, and she knows she knows when she's like, it's Saturday at 2:00. I'm going to get a call from Maxine. Yeah. Guaranteed, because when I'm down there, she'll be like, well, I know Maxine's going to call me here in any minute, because this is about time that she calls me. And, and she'll just go do. My uncle is in a nursing home. He has schizophrenia, and my mom goes out there once a week. It's something that my uncle counts on, and brings him a chocolate shake. That's all he wants. Once a week, he expects a chocolate shake.
That's so cute.
And she will take him a chocolate shake once a week. And she goes out there and she kind of cleans up his room. She washes his sheets. She does all. So this is like the example that I had growing up, because she's been this way my whole life. Yeah. Of like, if somebody needs something, everybody knows they can call my mom. Yeah. And my mom will just drop everything and do it. Yeah. And so my example of a good Samaritan and the service that, that I grew up with watching is my mom. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not even half as good at that. And I watched that my whole life. Yeah. Because I feel like my mom does need some boundaries sometimes. I'm like, Mom, you can say no to something. It's totally fine. She's like, I'll just do it, whatever. And and I'm like, no, I'll help, but if I don't have time, I don't have time. Yeah. I'm not going to but she's retired, and I get it. She probably did say no a lot more, but I didn't notice when I was younger, and she had 5 kids and all that kind of stuff. But now she's in the season of her life where all of her kids are grown, and she doesn't have a job because she's retired. So she's like, what else am I going to do?
Yeah, for sure. I love that. Like,
she's in that part of the pool where
yeah, she's like, here's a floaty, here's some goggles.
Who needs to learn how to swim?
Teach you? I've been doing this my whole life.
Like, I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah. Not to mention someone that's polarizing, but Dave Ramsey talks about this all the time, that the whole reason of getting out of debt so you can live well and give generously. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the time of life you want to have when you're retired, is that you can afford to give and help others. And I love that that's the goal of being financially stable and all of that. Like being a
Yeah.
good steward is so that you can actually help others more.
Well, no, I didn't say my mom had monetary means to help people, but she has time is what she
That's fair.
has.
Yes.
She doesn't have the money to help people.
That's
She
fair.
has time.
Yes.
So there's a difference,
True.
you know.
That's true. Not everyone retires as much as they,
No, I mean,
well
when
as
you're
they
like,
want.
she's on a fixed income, she's on Social Security, you know, and honestly, that's probably where I'll be too. So there's different things. You can have the means to help somebody, or you can have the time, and sometimes you can have both,
Yeah.
you know, but either one works.
Yeah. But I love the idea of like retirement being a time where you give back
totally.
with your time.
Totally. And that's what you do. I mean, you're in a season of life where your kids are still young and
Yeah.
you're still raising your kids, and I'm in a time of my life where, you know, I am not an empty nester, but you know, I still feel like I'm in that season of life because I have extenuating circumstances, but I long for the time when I'm like, oh sure, I have time to. But I guess I do have more time than it's not like I have to find babysitters and things like
Yeah,
that.
it's
So
true.
it's different.
Yeah, childcare is the bane of my existence. I'm counting the years till they can stay home alone. Okay, so in closing, I just want to remind you of a couple things. So the way that this parable ends is Christ says, he says, go and do thou likewise.
Mm-hmm.
So our challenge to you is to, one, go and serve
Yes.
where you are needed. Just look around. I'm sure there's someone you can help, whether it's by being their friend
Mm-hmm.
or even just sitting next to them or giving them a hug or asking them how they are and actually wanting to know the answer.
Yes.
That's my first challenge. Second challenge is we all have parts of us that are the wounded man on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And Christ is your good Samaritan, and he wants to help, and he can help. And if you wait on the Lord, and he will renew your strength. So don't be afraid to be like, actually, I'm a hot mess express. I think I need Jesus to help me.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
So I challenge you to take those wounds that you have, whether they're physical, spiritual, or emotional, and take them to the Lord because he wants to help.
I love that. And I just want to make a plug for, there is an app called the Just Serve app.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're looking, I mean, and you can look all around and, you know, see things that need to be done, and maybe you have friends that need help. But if you're looking for ways to serve outside of people that you know, right, there is an app called the Just Serve app.
Yep.
And in there, it has all different kinds of charities that you can sign up for and help. And it's got a whole bunch of different things that you can do if you're looking for ways to serve.
Yep, absolutely. Put them all in one place. You can pick and choose what kind of service you want to render and how much time you have.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous way to serve.
Yeah. So that's my plug for that, you know, if you want to help.
I love that. Good practical advice. It's good. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We will catch you next time.
All right. Thanks. Bye.